I like the idea of like Winona Ryder getting stuck in a situation where she like doesn't want to call in Beetlejuice, but like does it. I just like that idea where it's like I'm in a situation where I like this guy tried to marry me and stuff, but I need him.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it really is kind of like an all-star cast before they become huge. I mean, Michael Keaton's obviously huge at this point, but Alec Baldwin was kind of not a big star. Gina Davis was like becoming big, but Catherine O'Hara, like, what an awesome couple years she had with this, and then like Home Alone 1 and 2, like just like back to back. Like, I am just in awe of how awesome her career must have been.
Yeah, no kidding. And then she, comes back with Schitt's Creek and just, kills it. So, like, I just feel like now's the time. Like, you have Winona in Stranger Things. You have Catherine O'Hara, who just came off of Schitt's Creek. And all of, like, the 90s nostalgia is coming back. And it's just, it would be such great timing.
And I don't think people would hate a sequel to Beetlejuice after this many years. Like, look at Top Gun.
Or Hocus Pocus 2.
Yeah, I mean, people are like, it's never going to be as good as the original, but like, I'll have fun with the sequel. Let's have fun. Let's see some more Beetlejuice action. Why not?
And this is like Tim Burton, I feel like, at his finest. I mean, it's right before Edward Scissorhands and then, or Batman. Batman came out the next year. So, God, man, like 80s Burton, 90s Burton was so good. We just covered Sleepy Hollow a couple weeks ago, and I was like, I felt like that was kind of the end of Tim Burton for me. It was right in the Sleepy Hollow era, but I love this era of Tim Burton.
Well, he kept going with The Corpse Bride.
Oh, that's right, Kat. You love Corpse Bride. I'm sorry. Oh my
do.
God. It's like your favorite movie. I'm like,
wait. He did Corpse Bride. That was really good too.
I'm sorry. You know what? I'm gonna take that back. Like he's an amazing director. I just all I think about now is like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and like
Oh, that one wasn't that great.
The green screen Burton era is kind of like, ugh, like we don't want it.
Yeah.
But Corpse Bride is CGI, right? Like that's fully
Well, it's stop motion.
Is it really that stop motion?
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm.
Oh my, I need to see that again. It's been too long. Yeah. Shit, I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
But that's what I was thinking too, like with the, like, he doesn't need the green screen. He needs that really, it's kind of like when you have a band who like, they start off really gritty and grungy, and then it's like the more albums that they make and the longer they're in the industry, the more refined they get. And everybody kind of goes, ew, I don't want the refined version of you. I want that really gritty, grungy version of you. And I feel like it's the same with Burton. And, like we want the actual, like, sort of half shitty props, in the background. Like, I want the stuff that it looks like foam and cardboard. I don't want, like, the perfectly drawn green screen background,
That's a great way to put it, Allie. Just by it's like a grunge band that got really refined as time went on. That is a good way. Because how do we go from this to like Dumbo?
Ugh, how'd that happen?
Right.
Or like the Alice in Wonderland ones were a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
The first one wasn't terrible, but the second one was just like, get me out of here. Yeah.
The second one was
Yeah, I love the foam grass or whatever, and then like digging under that, and it's like actually like corks and stuff and cardboard. Like I love that stuff. That's quirky realism.
Yeah, me too. And his stuff is still visually beautiful. It's just very, very, perfect. And I prefer that imperfect version.
And it's funny, Allie, you mentioned Schitt's Creek. I watched this with my wife for the first time. She's never seen it, and we watched it. She liked it a lot, but she goes, "Oh my God, this reminds me of Moira Rose." And I'm like, yeah, that's because she brought that into Schitt's Creek, like this character, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like this snooty artist or whatever.
Mm.
Yeah.
Instead of wigs, it's statues in this one.
Yeah, and I just like again, you go back to like the character, but Delia Dietz just like kills it as like this perfect hipster wife, who like I don't know, she just really embraced the character, and you see that like snootiness of like this hipster artist, and like just the style, the wardrobe, everything for the time. It's just like, wrapped up with a bow for you. It's just so good.
I love my favorite phase of her, and I'm gonna really bad paraphrase it, but when she's like, if you don't let me express myself, I'm gonna burn it to the ground.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was so funny. But Eric, you haven't said your catchphrase yet about this movie.
What, the Waka Waka thing I said before?
No. It's the pride of Connecticut, baby.
What's the Pride of Connecticut? What part? Gina Davis?
The whole movie. The whole movie.
Is this movie filmed in Connecticut?
It's okay, so it takes place in Connecticut, but it's no, it's filmed in Vermont. But it takes place in Winter River, Connecticut.
They do say Connecticut quite a bit, and it's like, oh, they don't make Connecticut sound that great.
Yeah, I was gonna say they kind of shit on it. They're like, I can't get any interesting people from New York to come up to Connecticut. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh, right. Oh, I have a question. You know, something that I never really could clear up. Does Alec Baldwin's character owns the hardware store in town, right?
He does, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And they're on a staycation in their hometown.
Yeah. Okay, so he just runs in and gets supplies for his diorama or whatever it is, and then his little mini model, and yeah. So I always remember thinking that was weird.
I have a Halloween model thing that I put up every year. Alec, you were just over. You saw it for the first time. It's pretty intense.
You
right?
guys would love it. Yeah, it's like one of those Christmas house, the big, if people have those Studio 50, whatever the hell they are. You guys know what I'm talking about? Like the big Christmas houses that people set up. Eric has that, but a Halloween version.
Oh, amazing.
I've always wanted one, so I finally splurged and got one over the last 3 years. So it's done. I'm not spending another $1 on it. But you can tell. I felt when Alec Baldwin went into the hardware store to get 2 little pieces of whatever it was. I forgot.
Right.
But yeah. I feel his pain.
Yeah, it was so sad. They seem like such a nice couple, and they own the hardware store in the small little town. I was like, I love them, and then they're and the reason they die is because they're trying to save a dog's life.
Yeah,
it was sad. It was kind of sad.
I think it was a blessing in disguise though, because I think in the beginning, and this was unsaid stuff, but it was unsaid because the realtor was oh, this is a big house for a family, and then they got all quiet if they were trying to have kids and then they can't have kids. And I think even Gina mentions oh yeah, it's me, I'm the problem, I can't have the babies. But then they kind of get an unofficial daughter with Lydia, and I think that's what they needed, so it's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Exactly. They get an afterlife kind of family.
Afterlife daughter, yeah.
Right.
It's don't adopt, die, and
yeah.
Die and haunt
Exactly.
a family. Don't have a family.
That's the message.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Speaking of haunting, though, just their haunts were
They're just so
oh my gosh,
funny.
when they're trying to scare the family, those are just some of the best parts of the movie. Just so amazing.
I mean, even when they just get do you guys know how to be scary? And they're just and they just rip their faces apart. That's funny. That's hilarious. They're yeah, I can do this and pluck out my eyes and make my finger. They literally were just doing whatever they thought.
Well, because you need training if you're going to be a ghost. You don't just you're not automatically going to be scary, right? Wouldn't you think you'd have to go through ghost training to know how to be scary?
Yeah, I mean, you would assume that you don't know what limbs come off and go back on, and what features of your face you can move and then put back together. You would assume. I mean, what if his jaw never goes back to normal after that? But obviously, maybe it was all in the handbook, because they didn't read the fucking handbook. You know what I mean?
Well, that could be the sequel in general, too, where someone random new finds the handbook, maybe Johnny Depp.
There you go.
And a Beetlejuice flyer falls out, and he reads it, and there you go. And then somehow Winona Ryder finds out and tries to stop him. I don't know. We'll see.
I think the sequel is going to be a lot about that, Eric, about the afterlife sort of crew or whatever, the Juno, that kind of... I mean, I think she's dead, but that whole setting or whatever.
I mean, dude, if she's not gone, I'd be surprised. But I gotta say this, dude, Harry Belafonte is 96 or something and still cooking right now, and that's wild.
Wow.
He's the one at the end with the song "Jump in the Line, Rock Your Body in Time." That guy, that song came out 100 years ago. It's insane.
Oh man, well I had the subtitles on. I literally my entire life I thought that song was it's daylight come and I want to go home. It's hey Mr. Taliban. I always thought they were saying Taliban.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
And then I finally saw Tally Man. Oh, okay. So it's not about the Taliban.
No, it's it's people who would pick bananas and then they would come and tally up how many bananas you picked.
Yeah, he was a Jamaican singer, a Jamaican American singer.
Yeah, I learned that today, though. Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty interesting song. Like, talking about tarantulas and stuff and bananas. I liked it.
Yeah.
I learned that Harry Belafonte is still alive today, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's why we do this. We learn things.
We Pride of Connecticut, all this stuff.
Well, Allie has some news just on how much this movie means to her.
Oh yeah, so I'm moving back to Chicago next month, and so something I wanted to do before I leave is get a tattoo. So I'm gonna get a tattoo on my foot, and it's an ode to Beetlejuice, and it's gonna say strange and unusual. So that's gonna be my little gift to myself, because you guys, like, LA really embraces all of the spookiness, all of the spooky fun stuff that we don't really have in Chicago. So I need to take a little piece of it back with me.
That's awesome.
That's hilarious. Allie, I have a tattoo of Beetlejuice, except it says nice fucking model on my...
Yes!
Oh,
Do you really?
No.
I was like, that's cool.
You should tell him your real tattoo, Eric.
No. That stays with me.
Well, that's awesome, Allie. That's really awesome. Is that your first tattoo?
I do have another one that I got when I was 18, but it's like my first like real tattoo as a grown person. Yeah. So.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, Beetle House, obviously, that was, like, I was so surprised that existed out here, too. So, yeah, they really do embrace the spooky out here pretty well.
Allie and Kat, or even Alec, have you seen the Broadway play? I think it's only in New York. But
Aww, I'm gonna cry.
I'm not sure. Have you seen it?
I really, really wanted to, so I actually went to New York February of 2020 with every intention to watch it on Broadway. I know all the songs and everything, and we were gonna get tickets, but it was like sold out, and then shortly after that it got canceled because of COVID, and I was so bummed, but it's coming back, and it's actually coming to LA, so when it does, I'm gonna go, because I know all the songs by heart, because I was ready. I was like, yes, let's go.
I've heard from friends, and my landlord was obsessed with Beetlejuice. In my Milford apartment in Connecticut, obsessed with Beetlejuice, and he couldn't have talked higher about it. He was like, it was an amazing show. So yeah, I kind of want to go too. Like it looks pretty cool from what I've seen.
What are the songs like? Because there's no songs in this movie. So what are they inspired like, Kat?
So the opening of it, it's a song, and he kind of, like, Beetlejuice is very much like third person. He talks to the audience, and it's actually like really, really funny, because he'll be like, you know, just talking about like, oh, I do this fucking show 8 days a week or like 7 days a week, and then he's like, I just did coke in the bathroom, and then it's like, he just like engages a lot with the audience, and he I have heard that like he'll pick people in the audience and like, you know, paraphrase every like day, like just like kind of like improv it, like, oh, look, this fucker drinking his wine, or like something like that, and it's very like engaging. But I know Lydia has a couple of songs. One of them is like called Dead Mom, which is my favorite one, but a lot of the Beetlejuice songs are just like the opening song, I believe, is like, oh, the whole being dead thing. It's really cool. I love them.
I like even the song Lydia's Dead Mom. So they explain why she has a stepmom. Is that basically this, like?
Yeah. So it's actually, that's my favorite song. The song is called Dead Mom, and she sings it, and it's like about how her dad wants her to be happy. And I feel like the opening scene is like her mom's funeral, and then Beetlejuice kind of interrupts, and he's like, hey, like the whole being dead thing. And so it's kind of about that, and she's just like trying to cope, and she's like, oh, dad wants me to be happy, but I'm just like you, because her mom was a little weird and peculiar like her, and her dad wants her to just be normal and be happy. So that's kind of what that song's about.
I like that, though. It fills in some of the blanks, you know, in a fun way. But
It does give a little bit more background story.
Yeah, because they never addressed that in the movie, right?
And I know Miss Argentina has a song, too, about how she commits suicide. Aww. So it does give, like, a lot of background story of all the characters that you, like, miss, and a lot of favorites. And then they have the actual snake for the Broadway musical. Like, they'll have the snake come out, and it eats Beetlejuice. The Sandman. Yeah. No, the snake. Oh, yeah, it is a Sandman.
Miss Argentina, she's the receptionist, right? With the slit wrist or whatever, with the blue woman. Yeah, okay.
I remember when I was a kid, like watching this movie, like I didn't understand like what the plot was. Like it was so confusing to me, but I was just so enamored by just like seeing. I mean, like there's like suicide in this movie. It was a kids movie. Like there's so much stuff that I was like, what is happening?